Hi there, I'm Jill Chivers from Shop Your Wardrobe and 16 Style Types.
And I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style and 16 Style Types. So, style inspiration. There was a couple of quotes we came across recently that just got us thinking about this. One of them is from the inimitable Dolly Parton, who is probably one of the most authentic people you will ever see, meet, hear of, know of in this world, I think. And she says, know who you are and do it on purpose. And she talks a lot about how she bases her own style on the town prostitute in the small town she grew up in. And she owns it. Like, she is more than happy, to dress like a tramp, as she would probably say. And that was because what she saw as glamorous and beautiful as she was growing up, and she loves to look that way. And I think this is something that leads into, when we're thinking about, well, what inspires our style? This leads into that question of, well, what's authentic to us? So Dolly's dress is very authentic to Dolly. Like, I can't imagine her in, a checked flannel shirt and a pair of jeans. I don't know about you, Jill.
Well, unless they're skin tight and showing that amazing cleavage and, she's an awesome person. And I love the fact she talks so honestly about where her style inspiration came from. She's also a person with an extremely recognizable and consistent style. It's consistent visually. And to me, that makes her as a brand, that makes her instantly recognizable. It's Dolly, and it can be nobody else but Dolly. And to me, she's completely aligned with how she behaves, every word that comes out of her mouth. This is, of course, we only know the public Dolly. We do. Others obviously know the private Dolly. But to me, she is a woman in complete alignment. And whether you like how she looks, you like what she sings, you like anything about her, that to me is undeniable. I remember many, many years ago, she was interviewed on Australian 60 Minutes, and she was talking about how bright she is and how she believes in her own intelligence. And she said, I can be in a meeting with a whole stack of men in suits. I presume these are contract negotiations, that kind of thing. And she says, I feel like I got a little something on all of them. And I've never forgotten that. And to me, she did it with humor and grace. And I just love the fact that she didn't doubt her contribution. She didn't doubt her brains. And she thought, if you want to discount me because I've got the hair and the boobs and, everything's, showing off that figure, and you can certainly see what's going on there, then you're the one losing out on that. And she defined that for herself. And I love that. It's not a look that I would go to. I remember after leaving Deloitte, meeting a friend of mine. We'd known each other for years. And of course, I was always very buttoned down and collared up and all the rest of it. Gay friend of mine. And I met him at a bar in Surrey Hills in Sydney. And I was wearing a leopard print top, no jacket. And he said, where did these boobs come from? And I think thought I might have, been augmented. And I said, they were always there, Tone. It's just, I always wore a jacket. I always wore buttoned up shirts. I just didn't feel for me that I wanted to show off that I'm actually big breasted. And Dolly, she does. It's all there. And I just love how she owns it. She claims it. She celebrates it. She is the living embodiment of authentic style, in my opinion. She's not the only one, of course, but she is a wonderful example.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things that is very true about her is she's glitz and she's glam. And I imagine she's pretty much glitz and glam every day, even if it may not be to the stage version that we see. But she dresses, as Brenda Cassell has said, for the special occasion that's life.
Yeah.
You only get one life, you only get one chance, so why not celebrate every day rather than holding on for, and this is one of the things I see a lot where people hold back the good clothes for some occasion that hasn't yet happened and may never happen. So many of us were brought up with this, you wore your good clothes on a Sunday and that was the only time you got to wear them. But these days, not even Sundays are the good clothes days. And I think, to me, it's wear the good clothes every day, because honestly, they go out of fashion. As I say, you know, clothes are like milk, you know, they go out of date. So you may as well get your wear out of them every day, rather than holding on to it for some, you know, fantasy life. And often that's something we've talked about in another video, is all about the fantasy life. And the, you know, what are we waiting for? And I think that's one of those things that Dolly is a great expression of dressing for the special occasion that is life.
Yeah, and so, you know, for Dolly, it was, you know, the local prostitute, or one of, in the small town she grew up, and she modeled her entire style on her. It's interesting to say, what are, you know, if you have points of inspiration, now it might not be a modeling in that same way, but it's impossible to be immune from style information. You know, influencers, style blogs, fashion magazines, there's a lot of information out there. You know, interesting to think about, you know, who or what inspires you. Increasingly, I am inspired by serials on Netflix, not in any direct way. It's very oblique. It's just a sense of, wow, that character is in alignment, or wow, that totally, there's something about that character that's just not working. It's really not a, oh, I'm going to take this and apply this, although I did see a fabulous beaded necklace on something and I tried to replicate it. So I'm finding a lot of sources of inspiration from that. As I say, not in a direct way, but as in it keeps me feeling excited and interested about style. I think because my own style is quite defined and has been for some time. You know, it's obviously based on leopard print. I only wear 4 colors, as most people who've seen any of our videos knows, you know, and I really don't like to color outside the lines too much. I tell this story about you and I going shopping once, and I picked up this item of clothing by Boo Radley, which is a New Zealand designer. Oh, fabulous designers in New Zealand. And it was one of those, you know, is this an armhole or a neck hole? And it had all kinds of things going on. And you said to me, the item itself is too creative for you. And that had a real impact on me, because I consider myself a creative dresser, but I don't wear creative items of clothing, not at all. And so for me, style inspiration, it sort of has a different role for me. It's really more energetic than in a direct, practical way. I don't know about you, when you think about style inspiration and its purpose in your life, as well as who or what inspires you, Imogen.
You know what, my style inspiration, like I tried before I became an image consultant, I was inspired by friend style and things like that, and I would go out and think, oh, wear what they're wearing, and I'd put it on and I would not feel good. And that's when I realized that that was authentic to them, but not authentic to me, and that I had to find my own style. And of course, I then went through the process of learning about personality and dressing styles, and how our personality influences every single thing we choose, and how different personality traits are commonly expressed in style details. So, which is a really fascinating, you know, part of our Your Type of Style program as well. But I've also worked with clients around finding their authentic style. And, you know, I've had people, you know, like, and I do this myself, my style is not necessarily just inspired by clothes, but it's inspired by interior decoration. It's inspired by architecture. It's inspired by nature. It's inspired by colors in nature. You know, I had a client once, and she brought me a Pinterest board or a whole bunch of photos of her garden. She said, this is what I find really aesthetically pleasing. And we looked at all these photos, and what I noticed is there was a real organicness to it. Nothing was perfect. Nothing was particularly symmetrical, but there was structure. So it was interesting that the plants she loved it wasn't a little floral cottage garden. It was sculptural plants. And so I was going, okay, so we're looking at some structure in the clothes. We're looking for more sculptural, structured aspects to her style. But it was a really interesting process to go, well, how do I look at photos of a garden and then start applying that to my style, you know, because that they are very related. They're both aesthetic things. They're very related, but it's working out, how do I take those things and then apply that in a way that will work for, you know, me, or you for you, And I think this is something too that we get into in our Your Type of Style program, is actually kind of look beyond clothes for that inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about that in organizing as well. If your wardrobe isn't as organized or organized in the way you would like, is there another part of your life where that is organized well? And how can you take the lessons from that and transfer them? And it's the same kind of thing when it comes to style inspiration. Is there a part of your life that you really feel has the degree of inspiration in it, and it's got that right balance between workability and efficiency and inspiration and motivation, so you can take things from other parts of your life? A garden is a really good one. Your home is another one. Public spaces can be another one. If you don't have a garden yourself, it might be a particular street where there's wonderful street art. It might be graffiti. It might be an art gallery. There's so many different places that you can find inspiration for. And sometimes I think when we hear style inspiration, we think, there's an outfit and I'm going to take this element of it. Like, I saw this and it had this, this, and this. And so I'm going to make sure I have this, and this, the same thing in my outfit. And sometimes style inspiration is just not that direct.
Yeah. In fact, I know I've helped clients figure out their, authentic style by looking at their teapot collection, by looking at artworks they own in their house. Artwork is something that, there's so many different sorts of artworks, and it says a lot about our aesthetic and even our values. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the art we choose to live with. So, whether it's a teapot collection, a garden, an artwork, a glass. Somebody showed me a glass. We worked out her style based on a glass that she loved. So there's no one right way. We can be inspired by all sorts of things. We need a process, and that's what we offer in our program, is how do I get from that glass, that garden, that artwork, that teapot, and turn it into a definable style that works for me, that feels authentic, and that I really love.
And there are multiple modules in our 12-module program where we offer that opportunity. Modules 2, 3, and 10 are just two, where that invitation is offered to you to start to look at points of style inspiration. We ask some surprising questions that you might not have thought about before that help to inform that. And we do that deliberately because sometimes it's a direct, front on, here we are, question, answer. The line is short and direct. And sometimes it's much more oblique. And, we've had people say, I was totally surprised that a discussion about, this was going to help me with my style. And, some in our Facebook group, you share as much or as little as you like. And sometimes our members will put a visual display together using PowerPoint or something similar. And I will read these and I can be in tears, just filled with this sense of awe and gratitude for what's being shared, and just how wonderfully unique an approach to style can be, and some of the things that people discover. I just think this is why we don't tell you things. Well, for a start, we don't have all the answers. They don't exist. But also because what you bring to this, when you bring your whole self to it, you can amaze yourself with what you discover about yourself and your authentic style.
Yeah, so, we'd love it if you're interested in learning more about your authentic style, if you come and check out the Your Type of Style program. But even just starting to think about, like, what is it that I love? Is there something in my house I love? Is there something in the external world that I love? That you can start to think about, well, what is it that I love about it, and how can I start applying that to my style? Because that in itself will start to give you some inspiration so that you feel as great as Dolly Parton does.